Space exploded with light and fire. The first wave of human missiles struck the Council fleet before they could react. Shields flared. Armor cracked. 3 alien ships died in the opening seconds, torn apart by weapons they had never seen before. Captain Yunbai pushed her ship forward, leading a squadron of 30 fighters through the chaos. Her hands moved across the controls faster than thought. Left, right, up, down. She dodged enemy fire by centimeters, her ship dancing through the battlefield like a leaf in a storm. "Squadron 7, follow me," she shouted into her communicator. "We break through their left flank." Behind her, 29 pilots followed without hesitation. They had trained together for years. They knew each other's movements before they happened. They flew as one organism, one mind, one weapon. On the Council flagship, Vaughn watched in disbelief as his ships burned. This was not supposed to happen. These were primitive creatures. These were animals. How could they fight like this? "Commander," an officer shouted, "we have lost 12 ships. Their weapons are cutting through our shields." "Impossible." Vaughn slammed his fist on his chair. "Our shields have never failed. The readings show some kind of plasma technology. It ignores our standard defenses. We have nothing to stop it." Vaughn's teeth ground together. He had underestimated these humans. That was a mistake he would not make again. "All ships, attack pattern Delta. Focus fire on their flagship. Kill their leader, and the rest will fall." The Council fleet reorganized. 200 ships turned their weapons toward the Hammer of Earth. Beams of energy and storms of missiles flew across space, all aimed at a single target. On the Hammer of Earth, alarms screamed as the ship shook under the assault. "Shields at 60%. Ji-hoon reported. "They are hitting us with everything they have." Hana gripped the arms of her chair. "Evasive maneuvers. Return fire on the closest ships." The massive battleship twisted and rolled, its engines burning bright. Mireille unleashed a wall of plasma fire that caught 2 enemy ships and melted them into slag. But more kept coming. The Council fleet was surrounding them. "Admiral," Tejo said urgently, "they are trying to box us in. If we do not move, they will destroy us." Hana knew he was right. She also knew that if she retreated, the fleet would lose heart. They needed to see their flagship fighting. They needed to believe that victory was possible. "Charge the Sunspear," she ordered. The bridge went silent. Mireille turned to look at her with wide eyes. "Admiral, if we fire the Sunspear now, we will have to lower our shields for 3 seconds. At this range, 1 hit could destroy us. I know the risks. Charge the weapon." For a moment, no one moved. Then Mireille nodded and turned back to her controls. Her fingers moved quickly, activating systems that had never been used in real battle before. On the front of the ship, the Sunspear began to glow. Power flowed into it from the main reactors, building and building until the weapon hummed with deadly energy. "Sunspear at 50%, Mireille reported. 60, 70. Enemy fire continued to hammer the shields. Ji-hoon shouted that they were down to 40%. Then 30, 80%, 90. Shields failing. Ji-hoon screamed. 10 seconds until total collapse. Sunspear ready. Marie announced. Hana did not hesitate. "Fire!" The shields dropped. For 3 heartbeats, the Hammer of Earth was naked and vulnerable. Dozens of enemy weapons targeted them, ready to deliver the killing blow. Then the Sunspear fired. A beam of pure white light shot from the front of the ship. It was so bright, the pilots across the battlefield had to look away. It moved faster than anything could react, faster than shields could activate, faster than ships could turn. The beam struck the Council flagship directly in the center. For 1 second, nothing happened. Then the enemy ship began to glow from inside. Light poured from every window, every crack, every seam. Vorn had one moment to understand what was happening before his ship tore itself apart in a blinding explosion that could be seen from Earth. The Council fleet froze. Their commander was dead. Their flagship was gone. They had never experienced defeat like this. On the human ships, a cheer erupted. Men and women screamed with joy and relief. They had done the impossible. They had killed an enemy that had conquered 1,000 worlds. "Do not celebrate yet," Hana shouted. "The battle is not over. All ships, press the attack." The human fleet surged forward. With their enemy confused and leaderless, they struck with terrible fury. Plasma cannons tore through shields. Missiles found their targets. Ship after ship from the Council fleet died in the darkness of space. Captain Yumbai led her squadron into the heart of the enemy formation. She flew without fear, trusting her skills and her crew. Behind her, her pilots followed, cutting down enemy fighters like grass before a scythe. "Target that carrier," she shouted. "Do not let them launch more ships." A squadron dove toward a massive alien vessel, weapons firing without pause. The carrier's defenses tried to stop them, but human ships were faster, more agile, more determined. Within seconds, the carrier's engines exploded, sending the ship spinning into another vessel. But the Council was not finished. Even without their commander, they had centuries of military training. Their officers took control and began to fight back. "Human flagship, target acquired," said an alien officer on a nearby destroyer. "Fire everything." A wall of energy beams and missiles flew toward the hammer of Earth. The ship's shields, still recovering from the sunspear shot, could not stop them all. "Brace for impact!" Hana screamed. The missile struck. The ship lurched violently. Explosions ripped through the lower decks. Fire alarms screamed. Emergency systems activated. "Damage report," Hana demanded. "Decks 7 through 12 have heavy damage," Ji-Hum reported, his voice tight with pain. He was bleeding from a cut on his forehead, but he did not stop working. "We have lost 30% of our crew in those sections. Engines are at half power. Weapons systems are failing." Hana felt her heart break. 30% of her crew. Thousands of lives, gone in an instant. But she could not grieve now. She could not stop. "Can we still fight?" Ji-Hoon looked at her with exhausted eyes. "The ship is holding. We can fight. Then we fight." The battle continued for 6 more hours. Ships died on both sides. The darkness of space filled with debris and bodies and burning wreckage. Humanity paid a terrible price, but they did not break. They did not run. Every time the Council pushed, they pushed back. Slowly, impossibly, the tide began to turn. The Council fleet, designed for quick conquests against primitive species, could not handle an enemy that simply refused to die. Their formations broke. Their morale crumbled. Ships began to retreat, jumping to light speed and fleeing from the battlefield. When it was finally over, Hana looked at the view screen and saw what they had accomplished. Of the 500 Council ships, less than 200 had escaped. The rest were scattered across space as broken hulks and floating debris. The human fleet had lost 93 ships. Over 50,000 soldiers had died. But they had won. Earth was saved. Hana felt tears running down her cheeks. She did not try to stop them. "Admiral," Taiho said softly, "what are your orders?" Hana wiped her face and straightened in her chair. The battle was won, but the war was not over. The Council would return. They would bring more ships, more weapons, more soldiers. Humanity had to be ready. "Send a message to Earth," she said. "Tell them we are victorious. Tell them their sons and daughters fought like heroes. And tell them to prepare. This is only the beginning." The message flew across space at the speed of light. And on Earth, billions of people looked at the sky and wept with joy. The seventh day arrived. All over Earth, people gathered in their homes, in public squares, in churches and temples and mosques. They held each other close. They looked at the sky. They waited for the end. The alien fleet still hung in orbit, casting shadows over entire continents. For 7 days, they had done nothing but wait. No attacks. No communications. Just silent, patient waiting like predators watching their prey dot in the Council flagship. The commander watched Earth with all 4 of his eyes. His name was Vorn, and he had conquered 17 worlds for the Council. He had never lost a battle. He had never met a species that could challenge his ships. "The deadline approaches," said his second-in-command. "Do you think they will surrender?" Vorn made a sound that might have been a laugh. "They have no choice. They are primitive creatures. Their weapons are toys compared to ours. When they see our fleet move to attack position, they will beg for mercy. Some of our scouts have reported strange readings from their moon. Energy signatures that do not match our records." Vorn waved a thin hand dismissively. "Probably mining equipment. These humans are always digging and building. It will not help them now." The clock reached the final hour, the final minute, the final second. The deadline passed. On the Council flagship, Vorn leaned forward in his command chair. "Open a channel to Earth. Let us hear their surrender." The communication screen flickered to life. But instead of a frightened human leader begging for mercy, Vorn saw a face that made him uncomfortable. It was a human woman with gray hair and cold eyes. She was wearing a military uniform, and she was smiling. "Greetings, Commander," Hannah said. Her voice was calm and steady. "I am Admiral Hannah of the United Earth Defense Force. I speak for all of humanity." Vorn's 4 eyes narrowed. "You speak for slaves. Where is your surrender?" "There will be no surrender." A murmur ran through the Council bridge. Vorn silenced it with a sharp gesture. "You are making a grave mistake," he said. "We will destroy your cities. We will kill your people. We will take your world by force." Hannah's smile did not change. "You are welcome to try. But first, I have something to show you." The screen split. Half still showed Hannah's face. The other half showed a view of space near the moon. At first, Vorn saw nothing unusual, just stars and darkness. Then the doors opened. From the surface of the moon, from dozens of hidden entrances that no one had ever detected, ships began to emerge. They came in waves, rising from the gray rock like spirits from the underworld. Dark ships. Deadly ships. Ships that bristled with weapons and moved with impossible grace. Vorn felt something he had not felt in over 500 years. Fear. "What is this?" he demanded. "This is humanity's answer," Hannah said. "We do not kneel. We do not beg. We do not surrender. You wanted a war, Commander. Now you have one." The human fleet formed into battle lines. 342 battleships arranged in perfect formation, their weapons already charging with blue and white light. At the center of the formation, larger than all the others, flew the hammer of Earth. On the Council bridge, officers shouted readings and warnings. The energy signatures from the human ships were unlike anything they had seen. The weapons were completely unknown. The shields registered as impossibly strong. "How is this possible?" Vorn's second asked. "Our intelligence said they had no real military ships. Only small orbital stations and primitive shuttles. They deceived us," Vorn realized. His voice was quiet, but his hands were shaking. "All these years they were building, preparing, waiting for us." He straightened in his command chair and forced the fear down. He was Vorn. He was the greatest commander the Council had ever known. He would not lose to these animals. "All ships, battle formation," he ordered. Charge all weapons. Today we crush these humans once and for all. The Council fleet began to move. 500 ships, massive and ancient, covered with weapons that had burned worlds to ash. They arranged themselves in a traditional attack pattern, the same pattern that had won them victory 1,000 times before. On the Hammer of Earth, Hana watched the enemy fleet approach. Around her, her crew worked with silent efficiency. Yumbai's hands danced across the flight controls. Mirai targeted enemy ships one by one, loading them into the weapon systems. Jihu monitored every system on the ship, ready to fix any problem in seconds. "Admiral," Teiho said from his position beside her, "the fleet is in position. All ships report ready." Hana nodded slowly. This was it. The moment that would decide everything. Billions of lives hung in the balance. The future of humanity rested on what happened in the next few hours. She opened a channel to the entire fleet. Every ship would hear her words. Every pilot. Every soldier. Every engineer. "This is Admiral Hana," she said. "I know you are afraid. I know you have families on Earth who are watching the sky and praying. I know that many of us will not survive this day." She paused, looking at the view screen where the enemy fleet grew larger with each passing second. "But I also know something else. I know that we are fighting for more than just our lives. We are fighting for our freedom. We are fighting for the right to exist as equals in this universe. We are fighting for every generation of humans that will come after us." On ships across the fleet, men and women listened. Some had tears in their eyes. Some gripped their weapons tighter. All of them felt something burning in their chests. Pride, determination, hope. "The Council thinks we are weak," Hana continued. "They think we will break and run at the first sign of danger. But they are wrong. Humans do not run. Humans do not break. When we are pushed, we push back. When we are hit, we hit back harder. And when someone threatens our home, our families, our world, we fight until our last breath." She stood up from her command chair and faced the screen. "Today, we show the galaxy what humanity is made of. Today, we write our name in the stars with fire and glory. Today, we fight not as nations, not as races, not as individuals, but as one species, one family, one people." Her voice rose until it rang through every corridor, every deck, every ship in the fleet. "Ships of Earth, this is your Admiral speaking. All weapons, lock on targets. All pilots, stand ready. The enemy comes for our world. Let us show them the door." A roar of voices answered her. From 342 ships, from over 100,000 throats, came a single word that echoed across space. "Fire!" The first shots of the Battle of Seoul lit up the darkness like a new sun being born. Hana sat back in her chair, her eyes fixed on the enemy fleet. The war for Earth had begun, and humanity would not go quietly. The shuttle flew through the darkness of space toward the moon. Inside sat Hana and 3 others. Beside her was Commander Teiho, the man in charge of Project Ironwool. He was in his 50s, with a calm face and hands that never shook. He had spent his entire adult life preparing for this moment. "How much longer?" Hana asked. 10 minutes, Teiho replied. "The entrance is on the dark side. No one has ever seen it from Earth, not even with the best telescopes." Hana looked out the small window at the gray surface of the moon rushing past below. She had been to space before, but never like this. Never to see something that would decide the fate of her entire species. The shuttle slowed as they approached a mountain range. The shadows here were absolute black. Without sunlight, there was nothing to see. Then Teiho pressed a button on his communicator, and a section of the mountain began to glow with soft blue light. A massive door, hidden perfectly against the rock, slowly slid open. "Welcome to Ironwool Base," Tejo said. They flew inside. Hana had seen many impressive things in her life. She had seen aircraft carriers. She had seen nuclear submarines. She had seen rockets launch into space. But nothing had prepared her for what lay inside the moon. The cavern stretched for kilometers in every direction. The ceiling was so high it disappeared into darkness. And filling every space, lined up in perfect rows like soldiers waiting for battle, were the ships. They were beautiful. Hana had not expected that. She had expected ugly war machines, built only for destruction. But these ships were sleek and graceful, their surfaces smooth and dark. They looked like predators, silent and deadly, waiting to strike. 342 Hammer-class battleships, Tejo said as the shuttle flew past the endless rows. Each one carries 50 plasma cannons, 20 missile bays, and shields that can take direct hits from nuclear weapons. Their engines can push them faster than anything the Council has. How do you know what the Council has? Hana asked. Tejo smiled slightly. We have been watching them for a long time, listening to their communications, studying their technology. They are powerful, but they have not fought a real war in over 1,000 years. They have forgotten what it means to face an enemy who is willing to die. The shuttle landed on a platform in the center of the base. When Hana stepped out, she saw thousands of people moving with purpose. Technicians checked systems. Engineers made final repairs. Pilots ran to their ships. It was like watching a beehive, every person knowing exactly what to do. How many people work here? Hana asked. 40,000, Tejo replied. All volunteers, all sworn to secrecy. Many of them have lived here for years, never seeing Earth, never seeing their families. All for this moment. Hana felt something twist in her chest. These people had given up everything. They had sacrificed their lives so that humanity might have a chance. I want to meet them, she said. The pilots. The soldiers. I want to look them in the eyes. Tejo nodded. Of course. But first, there is something else you need to see. He led her through winding corridors, past laboratories and training rooms, until they reached a heavy door guarded by soldiers. The door opened into a large workshop filled with strange machines. In the center of the room stood a weapon. It was long and silver, mounted on a rotating platform. Its surface was covered with symbols and circuits that seemed to glow with inner light. What is that? Hana asked. We call it the Sun Spear, Tejo said. It is our most powerful weapon. It fires a beam of concentrated energy that can cut through anything. Shields, armor, rock, metal. Nothing can stop it. Where did you get this technology? We built it, Tejo said with pride. Our scientists took what we learned from the aliens and pushed it further. The Council has nothing like this. When they see what it can do, they will know fear for the first time in centuries. Hana walked around the weapon, studying it carefully. How many do we have? Only 3. They are installed on our 3 largest ships. The flagship, the Hammer of Earth, carries the most powerful one. That is where you will command the fleet. Hana turned to look at Tejo. You want me to lead the attack? There is no one else. You have the experience. You have the respect of every military leader on Earth. And more than that, you have the fire. I saw it in your eyes when the aliens made their demand. You will not rest until we are free. Hana was silent for a long moment. She thought about her family. Her daughter, Su Bin, who lived in Bizan with her 2 children. Her husband, who had died 10 years ago. She thought about all the people on Earth who were looking at the sky with fear, waiting for someone to save them. Show me the flagship, she finally said. The Hammer of Earth was magnificent. It was the largest ship in the fleet, 3 kilometers long from front to back. Its hull was painted black, with streaks of red running along its sides like war paint. The sunspear was mounted at the front, pointing forward like a sword ready to strike. Hana walked through its corridors, meeting the crew. There was Yunbai, the chief pilot, a young woman with quick hands and quicker reflexes. She had trained for 10 years for this moment, flying simulated battles every day until she could defeat any opponent. There was Mirai, the weapons officer, who knew every system on the ship like she knew her own heartbeat. She was quiet and serious, but Hana could see the determination in her eyes. There was Ji-hoon, the chief engineer, who had helped design the ship from the beginning. He was old now, his hair white and his back bent, but his mind was still sharp. He loved the ship like it was his own child, and there were hundreds more. Men and women from every nation on Earth, all working together for one purpose. All ready to fight. All ready to die if necessary. Na stood on the bridge, looking at the massive view screen that showed the stars beyond the moon. In a few days, those stars would become a battlefield. Many of the people around her would not survive. But they would not run. They would not surrender. "Commander Taeho," she said, "how long until the fleet is ready?" "Final preparations will be complete in 4 days. We will have 2 days to move into position before the council's deadline." Hana nodded. "Then we wait. We prepare. And when the time comes, we show the council that they made the worst mistake of their existence." Taeho stood beside her, looking at the same stars. "You really think we can win?" Hana thought about the question carefully before answering. "I do not know if we can win," she admitted. "But I know that we will fight harder than anyone has ever fought before. I know that we will make them pay for every kilometer of space they try to take from us. And I know that even if we fall, the universe will remember that humanity did not go quietly into the night." She turned to face the crew gathered on the bridge. "Get some rest," she told them. "In 4 days, we go to war." The crew saluted and returned to their stations. Outside, the hidden fleet waited in silence. 342 ships ready to fly into battle, ready to answer the council's demand with fire and fury. The clock was ticking. The universe was watching, and humanity was preparing to make its stand. The sky turned dark at noon. It was not clouds. It was not an eclipse. It was something far worse. Hana stood on the rooftop of the United Earth Defense building in Seoul. She was a tall woman with sharp eyes and gray hair tied back in a tight bun. She had served in the military for 30 years. She had seen wars. She had seen death. But she had never seen anything like this. Above the city, a massive ship blocked the sun. It was black and silver, shaped like a twisted blade. It stretched for miles across the sky. Smaller ships surrounded it like angry insects around a hive. The people in the streets below had stopped moving. They looked up with open mouths and wide eyes. Some screamed. Some cried. Most just stood in silence, unable to understand what they were seeing. Hana's communicator buzzed. She answered it without looking away from the sky. "Admiral," said a young voice. It was her assistant, a man named Dae-soo. "The council is broadcasting. Every screen on Earth is showing their message." Hana walked back inside. The large screen on the wall showed a face that was not human. It had gray skin, 4 eyes arranged in a diamond pattern, and no visible nose. Its mouth was thin and curved downward. When it spoke, the voice was cold and mechanical, translated by some unknown technology. "People of Earth," the alien said, "we are the voice of the Galactic Council. We speak for 1,000 worlds. We speak for species that have existed for millions of your years. We speak for the true rulers of this galaxy." Hana crossed her arms and watched. Dae-soo stood beside her, his face pale with fear. "Your world has been observed," the alien continued. Your species has been studied. You are young. You are violent. You are dangerous. The Council has decided that you cannot be trusted with space travel. You cannot be trusted with weapons. You cannot be trusted with freedom. The alien paused. Its 4 eyes blinked one at a time. You have 7 of your days to surrender your world to the Council. You will give up all weapons. You will give up all ships. You will accept Council rule. If you do not surrender, your cities will burn. Your species will end. This is not a threat. This is a fact. Choose wisely. The screen went black. For a long moment, no one spoke. Hana could hear her own heartbeat. She could hear Desu breathing too fast beside her. "Admiral," Desu whispered. "What do we do?" Hana did not answer right away. She walked to the window and looked at the sky again. The alien ship was still there, blocking the light, casting a shadow over everything. "Call a meeting," she finally said. "Every general, every admiral, every leader. We meet in 1 hour." The meeting room was deep underground, protected by thick walls of steel and concrete. It was built to survive nuclear war. Now it would have to survive something worse. Hana sat at the head of a long table. Around her sat the most powerful military leaders on Earth. There was General Bauram from Europe, a large man with a thick beard and tired eyes. There was Admiral June from the Pacific Fleet, a quiet woman who rarely smiled. There was Commander Hyan from Africa, young but brilliant, known for his strategies. And there were dozens more, all looking at Hana, waiting for her to speak. "You all saw the message," Hana said. "You all know what they want. They want us to be slaves," said Bauram. His voice was rough with anger. "They want to take everything we have." "They have the power to do it," said June. She pulled up images on the central screen. "Our satellites counted over 500 ships in orbit. The main vessel alone is larger than anything we have ever built. Our best estimates say they could destroy every major city on Earth in less than an hour. Then we fight," said Hyan. "We fight until the last human is dead. Better to die standing than live on our knees." Some nodded in agreement. Others looked uncertain. Hana held up her hand for silence. She looked around the table, meeting each person's eyes. "There is something you do not know," she said. "Something that only a few people on Earth know. Something that might give us a chance." She pressed a button on the table. The screen changed to show an image that made several people gasp. It was a ship, sleek and powerful, bristling with weapons. But it was not alien. On its side was painted the flag of Earth. 60 years ago, Hana said, when we first detected signals from other civilizations, some of our leaders made a decision. They knew that the universe might not be friendly. They knew that one day someone might come to take what we have. So they started building. In secret, deep in the moon. Hidden from everyone, including most of our own governments. She pressed another button. The image expanded to show not one ship, but dozens. Then hundreds. They called it Project Ironwool. Hana continued. For 60 years, the best scientists and engineers on Earth have worked in secret. They have built ships. They have built weapons. They have prepared for exactly this moment. The room was completely silent. Even the most hardened generals looked shocked. "How is this possible?" asked Bauram. "How could they keep this secret?" "Because they had to," said Hana. "Because if the aliens knew we were preparing, they would have attacked sooner. But now they are here. Now there is no more need for secrets." She stood up and looked at the screen showing the hidden fleet. "The Council thinks we are weak," she said. "They think we are primitive. They think we will fall to our knees and beg for mercy. But they do not know humans. They do not know what we are capable of when our backs are against the wall." June leaned forward, How many ships do we have? 342 battleships, Hana replied. Over 1,000 smaller fighters. Weapons that use technology even the Council has never seen. We reverse-engineered some of their own tech from crashed probes. We improved it. We made it better. Hyan was smiling now, a fierce light in his eyes. So we have a chance. Hana nodded slowly. We have a chance. But it will not be easy. We are still outnumbered. Their ships are still larger. Many of us will die. But we will not go quietly. We will not surrender. We will answer their demand with fire and steel. She looked at each person in the room one more time. In 7 days, when they expect us to kneel, we will show them what humanity is made of. We will show them that we would rather die free than live as slaves. And we will make them regret the day they ever came to our world. Bugram stood up, his chair scraping against the floor. What are your orders, Admiral? Hana smiled. It was not a warm smile. It was the smile of a warrior who had found her purpose. Prepare for war. 3 months had passed since the Battle of Soldad. The hammer of Earth floated in orbit near Jupiter, its massive form reflected in the gas giant's swirling clouds. The ship had been repaired, its scars from the battle healed with new metal and fresh systems. But the memories remained. Every corridor held the ghosts of those who had fallen. Hana stood on the observation deck, watching Jupiter's storms dance across its surface. She was tired. The last 3 months had been harder than the battle itself. Rebuilding the fleet, training new crews, preparing for the Council's revenge. But the revenge had not come. The door opened behind her. Tejo walked in, his face showing a rare expression of surprise. Admiral, we have received a transmission. You need to see this. Hana followed him to the bridge. The main screen showed an alien face, but it was not the same species as Vorn. This creature had silver skin and large black eyes that seemed almost gentle. Its voice, when it spoke, was soft and careful. Greetings, Admiral Hana of Earth. I am Delegate Ro'ol of the Galactic Council. I have been authorized to speak on behalf of the remaining council members. Hana crossed her arms. Speak then. Raoul seemed to take a deep breath, though Hana could not tell if his species even breathed. The council has spent the last 3 months in debate. The destruction of Commander Vorn and his fleet has caused great upheaval in our government. Many who supported the attack on your world have lost their power. Many who questioned the wisdom of conquest have found new voices. Get to the point, Hana said. The point, Admiral, is that the Council wishes to negotiate. Not for your surrender. For peace. The bridge fell silent. Hana felt her crew staring at her, waiting for her response. Peace, she repeated. After you threatened to destroy us. After you called us slaves. After you killed 50,000 of our people. After you killed 50,000 of our people. Raoul lowered his eyes. Yes, after all of that. We were wrong, Admiral. We have been wrong for a very long time. We looked at younger species and saw only threats to be controlled. We never imagined that one of them could stand against us. We never imagined that we might lose. Hana thought about the soldiers who had died under her command. She thought about the families who would never see their loved ones again. She thought about Su Bin, her daughter, who had cried for 3 days when she heard about the battle. The anger in her heart told her to refuse, to demand justice, to make the council pay for every life they had taken. But she was not just a warrior. She was a leader. And leaders had to think about the future. What are your terms? She asked. All looked relieved. The council proposes a treaty. Full recognition of Earth as a sovereign world. A seat for humanity on the council itself. Trade agreements. Technology sharing. And a formal apology for our actions. That is not enough. Raoul's eyes widened slightly. What more do you require? Hana stepped closer to the screen. I require truth. I require you to broadcast to every world in your council exactly what happened here. I require you to tell them that you came to enslave us and we beat you. I require the galaxy to know that humanity is not to be threatened. For a long moment, Raoul was silent. Then, slowly, he nodded. It will be done. 2 weeks later, a council delegation arrived at Earth. Their ship landed in Seoul. In the same square where Hana had first watched the alien fleet block the sun. Now the sky was clear. Now the shadows were gone. The delegation walked down a long red carpet lined with human soldiers. At the end stood Hana, Taiho, and the leaders of Earth's nations. They wore their finest uniforms, their chests covered with medals earned in the battle for their world. Raoul approached Hana and stopped a few meters away. He was smaller in person, barely reaching her shoulder, but he carried himself with dignity. Admiral Hana, he said formally, on behalf of the Galactic Council, I offer our deepest apologies for the actions of Commander Vorn and those who supported him. We offer peace. We offer friendship. We offer a place among the stars. He held out a small device. It was made of crystal and gold, and it glowed with soft inner light. This is the seal of recognition, Raoul explained. It marks your species as an equal member of the galactic community. No council member may threaten you. No council fleet may enter your space without permission. Your voice will be heard in all our debates. Your vote will carry the same weight as any other. Hana looked at the seal for a long moment. She thought about everything humanity had sacrificed to reach this moment. The years of secret building, the battle that had cost so many lives, the courage of every man and woman who had stood against impossible odds. She reached out and took the seal. We accept your apology, she said. We accept your peace. But understand this, delegate. We will never forget what you tried to do. We will always be ready. And if any power in this galaxy ever threatens us again, they will learn the same lesson you did. She looked into Raoul's black eyes. Humanity does not kneel. That night, there was celebration across Earth, in Seoul and Beijing and Tokyo, in New York and London and Cairo. In every city and village and town, people danced and sang and wept with joy. The nightmare was over. They were free. Na did not join the celebrations. She stood alone on a balcony, looking at the stars. So many stars. So many worlds. So many adventures waiting for her people. Tae-ho found her there, hours later. You should be celebrating, he said. Hana shook her head. There will be time for celebration later. Right now, I am thinking about what comes next. What do you mean? She turned to face him. Her eyes were bright with something that might have been tears or might have been hope. For our entire history, we have been alone. We looked at the sky and wondered if anyone else was out there. Now we know. The universe is full of life. Some of it is dangerous. Some of it is afraid. And all of it has just learned that humans are not to be ignored. She looked back at the stars. We have a choice now. We can stay here on our little world and hope no one bothers us again. Or we can go out there. We can explore. We can build. We can become something greater than we ever imagined. Tae-ho stood beside her in silence for a moment. Which do you choose? Hana smiled. It was a real smile this time. Not the smile of a warrior or an admiral. The smile of a human being looking at a future full of possibilities. I choose the stars. Far below, in the streets of Seoul, a little girl looked up at the sky. Her name was Yujin, and she was only 7 years old. She did not understand everything that had happened. She did not know about battles and treaties and galactic councils. But she knew one thing. Her grandmother had told her, holding her close as the alien ships filled the sky. "Do not be afraid," her grandmother had said. "Humans are stronger than you know. We will find a way. We always do." Eugene had believed her. And now, watching fireworks explode above the city while the stars twinkled beyond, she made a promise to herself. Someday, she would fly among those stars. Someday, she would see the wonders of the universe for herself. Someday, she would carry the flag of Earth to places no human had ever been dot. It was a big dream for a little girl. But that was what humans were good at. Dreaming big dreams. And making them come true. The war was over. The future had just begun.